Hi everyone, welcome to the percent error video. So percent error is the measuring of the percent change between an estimated value and an actual value. So in these situations, you made a guess on what something is, and then you find out what it actually is, and you're finding how far off you are, basically. So in other words, it shows us how far off a value is from what it actually is. So this is used a lot when we collect data or look at, different values where we had to make estimations. We do use a proportion to solve this still. So our 100 is on the bottom right. X is still going to be here because we're going to look for the percent for these questions. Up here on the top left is going to be the difference between the approximate and the actual. That's very similar to the last setup we had where we were finding the change in the values. That's what we're finding here. We're finding how far off was the actual from the estimate. And then under that is going to be the actual value. So whatever amount was actually the value we were looking for. Question here, what does approximate mean? Approximate means about how much it was. Basically, it is a guess. It's an educated guess, meaning we're, thinking about something that could realistically be the answer, but it's still a guess. So it says we're going to use the percent error formula to find and solve each problem. We're going to round to the nearest percent. Okay, it says Miss Rogers takes attendance and thinks there's 15 students in the room. There's actually 16. What is her percent error? So the approximate value, that's my guess. I guessed that there were 15 people. There are actually 16. So I'm going to go through and find the percent error. So set up my proportion. X is my percent that I'm looking for. 100 goes under it. The actual value is 16. The difference between my approximate and my actual, all I do to get that is do 16 minus 15. And we always want a positive number for this. So if you ever get a negative, just make it into a positive. So I get 1 for that. I'm going to cross multiply. So I have 16x equals 100. I'm going to go ahead and divide by 16. I get x is 6.25%. It does stay around to the nearest percent, so my percent error is 6%. So that means I was off by about 6%. That's not super far off. Far off is going to be when we get over 20%. If it's over 50, then we were very, very far off. So this isn't a terrible percent error. Question 2. Tucker wants to buy a car. He guesses that the car is $25,000. It is actually $56,500. What's his percent error? So his guess, the approximate, was $25,000. The actual is $56,500. So I got to set up my proportion. I'm looking for the percent. I know 100 goes under it. The actual value goes over here. That is going to be the 56,200. And I have to find the difference between these two numbers and put it here, which means I need to subtract them. So I do 25,000 minus 56,500. You should get 31,500. And again, all I did to get that was 56,500 minus 25,000. It's going to get me to 31,500. And now I cross multiply. So 56,500 x is equal to, and I should have 315, and then I'm going to have 4 zeros after it according to my calculations. That's 3,150,000. I divide by 56,500. I get x is 55.75 blah blah blah. So when I round, that gets me to 56%. So Tucker was off by 56%. That's pretty far off, to be honest. When it's over 20%, we start to say, okay, we were off by a good amount. So his guess was half as big as what the answer actually was. Let's go ahead and go to the next page. We'll try one more question. Actually, yeah, we'll do one more. So Liliana thinks she is 64 inches tall. She's actually 62. What's her percent error? So she thinks she's 64. That means that's our approximate. Her actual is 62. We'll put that there. We're going to go ahead and set up our proportion. X on top right, 100 under it. My actual goes on the bottom here, 62. I'm going to take my two numbers and subtract them to get this top number. It's just going to be a 2. I'm going to cross multiply. I get 6x equals 200. I'm going to take my 200 and divide by 62. Oops. X is 3.225, That's going to round to about 3%. So Lily was off by about 3%. Not a huge percent error. That's a pretty small number. All right, go ahead and do 4, 5, and 6. Pause the video and try those out. So 4 should have been a 29% error, 5 should have been a 49% error, and 6 should have been a 35% error. If you have questions, let me know. If you need to see how those were done, also ask me about it. Otherwise, have a great day.